All right. Well, first of all, Barry, I do appreciate your time. And obviously, born and raised in this area, and then, joining the military. First of all, just talk a little bit about, what was your thought process about joining the military and doing that?
Well, Jermaine, my first thing I wanted to do was when I graduated from high school, I had a partial scholarship to run track at Norfolk State. At the time, they were offering me a certain amount of money, and my mom was a single parent, and she didn't have it. So I was like, well, maybe I can get out and get a job for a year, and make it that amount of money that I can, match them, and I can get into Norfolk State. But it didn't happen that way. I was out a year, 2 years. After that, I was like, well, I had uncles that was in the military. I said, well, let me join the military. So I joined the military. Never looked back.
Now, when did you join the Army?
1994.
And when did you get out?
88, excuse me.
1994 to...
I was 23 when I went in.
Okay, so you joined in 94, you said 1988.
Yeah, that's when I graduated.
Right, so yeah, so you joined in 94, and when did you get out again? So it's like...
2018.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you said 88
okay.
or something like that. Okay, so basically... you had two jobs, water filtration and then the MPs.
And infantry.
And infantry,
yes, sir.
too. I mean, overall, what would you categorize your experience being in the military, in the Army?
Being in the military, it's you meet a lot of friends. It's all about teamwork, selfless service, protecting your country, man. Just doing the right thing.
And then when you hear and you hear about, especially veterans, and you see other veterans, what is that like for you when you see another veteran? Because obviously they know what you went through.
When I see another veteran and they have a hat or something on, I always say, hey, thank you for your service. It makes them feel good, you know what I'm saying? And then when I have a hat or something on, somebody will say, thank you for your service. And we just exchange pleasantries, so everybody's feeling good.
And then, obviously graduated from Staunton River High School in 1988. Great athletic career there. And not only that, giving back, to the school by coaching and all that. How valuable and special is that?
Coaching is one thing that I always wanted to do. I had a great coach, Joe Curcio. He was an art teacher, but he coached track. And I had a good football coach, Ronnie Turner. And he was our PE teacher, and I always wanted to be a PE teacher. I always wanted to be, matter of fact, I'm going to school to be a PE teacher now. And when you can get to a kid and they listen to you, and you can give back, and you see the results when they do good in a meet, or they go to the next level, districts, state, or even win an event, and you help them coach that event, it makes you feel real good. It makes us think that they really listened to you, and they took it in. And it just makes you feel great.
Is it kind of like, the drill sergeants, they're the coaches in essence to get you ready? Is that almost similar, or how do you use your military background when it comes to coaching and even in family life?
Well, this is funny. I have a 31-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. And I guess you could say that's a really good bookends, real big bookends. So being a father for the second time, I've learned how to be a better father. And I just try to instill all the things that I learned in the military into my boys and make them disciplined, make them have good manners, and just treat people right how they're supposed to be treated.
And then when you look at, if there's a memory, or is there a memory or anything that stands out when you're in the Army, what memory would that be? Was it something like maybe a funny thing, or just something in general?
Oh man, I was a private. Just got out of basic training. Just got to Fort Drum, New York. Probably got all my TA-50. You know how that is when you get all your TA-50 and stuff. Before I know it, hey, we're going to Haiti. I'm like, what? Haiti? Yeah, man, we some stuff going on there. We getting ready to get it popping. So we do all this training, and before I knew it, we were down in Norfolk on the Eisenhower, and we had Blackhawks on the aircraft carrier, and before you know it, man, we were loading up ammunition and getting ready to go hot. And you talking about scared. I was 23 at the time, and I was scared. And when we landed down in Port-au-Prince, oh man, I was petrified. I didn't even know if I was coming back, but luckily, thank the Lord, everything went the way it's supposed to went. So it was more like a peacekeeping mission. So
That's big.
we called it the Haitian vacation.
Haitian vacation. And then when you retired from the Army, what was going through your mind then?
When I retired, I was trying to plot my next move. I wanted to go back to school to be a PE teacher. I had a family. I had to get a job. My biggest thing is, like I said, I always wanted to be a PE teacher, and I've been going to school forever, and I don't have that much long. So once I get that, you ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing.
And speaking of coaches and all, you're an author of a book on Coach Joe Gaither. I mean, one of the legendary coaches, not only in our area but throughout the state and throughout the country. Just talk about just the thought process, getting that ball rolling, and what made you want to be involved in that project.
Right. Well, Coach Joe and I, we were work comrades, and I would go in his office like every day, and he would tell me all these stories about all his teams and all these stories about playing down in Norfolk, playing against Boo Williams and Iverson and all these guys. And I mean, just stories on top of stories. So one day I was like, Coach, you know what? We need to put this pen to paper. We need to make a book about this. So I said, Coach, what do you think? Coach looked at me like I was crazy. And he was like, Brother Brown, you know what, let me go home, I'm gonna pray on it, and I'll get back with you. I think it was like 2 days later, he came back. He was like, Brother Brown, I'm gonna give you a shot. I said, all right, Coach, I'm gonna make you happy. So as we got all that going, my co-author, Ted Eldick, who is a very great friend of a coach, he also put his input on it. I did my background on it, and then Ted put his swing on it, and then we have a finished product.
How long did it take from the time you guys decided to start it to have a finished product?
It was about 2 years. It took about 2 years. Coach gave me all his players. I contacted all his players: George Lynch, Curtis Blair, Russell Turner, all of them. I had a great time just contacting them and talking to them about some of the stories. And as soon as I got whatever they were talking about, man, I wrote it down, and it was awesome, man. I mean, the stories they would tell me, some of the stories that Coach was saying, they would tell me other stories. So it took about 2 years, and then when I got my draft together, I submitted my draft to Ted. Ted put his spin on it, and that's what we got, man. Coach Gaither story.
What was the biggest challenge in writing the book?
Time. You have to have a lot of time. I was in school, I'm working, so the only time I really had time to really do it, I would do it like on Fridays. I work Saturday, I'm off Saturdays and Sundays, so I would take my Fridays and Saturdays, I would just go straight to the library. Couldn't do nothing because my little 5-year-old, he's running around. And so I would go to the library, get all my information, write it down, and got all the drafts. And once I got all that done, submitted my part to Ted. Ted did his thing, and then there we go. We got it.
And then, obviously the neat thing about it, he's a military veteran too.
Right.
So I'm sure that was even more of a special kinship between you two.
Right. Yeah. Coach, I think he was in Vietnam, and he was telling me about how his experiences through the military, and actually I think what he did in the military prepped him for the job he had at the post office. And that carried on, and he had a very nice career at the post office, living good.
What were some of the surprising things that you found out about Coach Gaither while you were researching and writing the book?
Oh man, his nickname, Bishop. I like that. That was a good nickname. Reverend Dow gave him. And Coach never, ever, ever cursed. He had his way to get around his players to get what he was thinking about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he will run you to death. If you even say the cuss word, that whole team is in trouble.
What are some of the responses you've gotten from people about the book?
Oh man, I guess it was like, Barry, wow, this is awesome, man. I was like, well, you know what, I can't take all the credit. I said, I did my little part. I said the main person that really made this thing happen was Ted Eldick, because he's written the book before, and people, they read it and they was like, wow, this is awesome. There's things they didn't know about Coach, things that they didn't know about, you know, the Hawks, his family that he has in Cameron. All his players are successful. You know, he put all these kids through college. You got Curtis Blair, who's a doggone NBA referee. You got 3 or 4 Division I coaches, George Lynch, and just the players that he put through college and molded them into men. You know,
So just looking at it, life for you right now after your active duty service is pretty good.
It's okay. I can't complain. I got a beautiful wife, 2 good kids, good job. Hopefully I can retire in 5 more years. I can teach, and I eventually probably want to move to, my wife, she's from the Philippines, so we're probably going to end up moving there. So I want to see how my 5-year-old does here in school. So that's probably my main thing I probably will be focusing on once I get my degree. Hopefully my stepmom, she was a school teacher in the Philippines. She taught chemistry for 40-some years. And once I get my Tagalog up, I should be good.
Now, what would you tell, all right, you're 52, right?
Yes.
52?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What would your 52-year-old self tell your 18-year-old self or early 20-year-old self, especially that young person's getting head into the military?
Oh man, my 18-year-old self, man, first of all, if I could do things over again, I think I would probably would have buckled down more in high school, so my mom wouldn't have to have that burden of trying to get me through college. Probably getting ready to go into the military, getting yourself right, getting yourself disciplined.
I guess the biggest question is, do you see more books in your future to write?
I have one book that I'm thinking about writing. I think I want to do a children's book, and I'm going to do it probably on my 5-year-old and my nephew, and his nickname's Big Thunder. So if you see him, you'll see why they call him Big Thunder. So that's I think I'm probably leaning on trying doing a children's book.
Pretty cool. Will you put some military stuff in?
I don't know. I ain't gonna be no military stuff. Nah, just a lot of sports and stuff like that. So.
Well, circling back to the book on Coach Gaither, what was his response to it the first time he read it and the first time he saw it?
Coach Gaither went nuts. He loved it. The way it was put together, the pictures, the way it was organized. It took a while, but once he read it, he loved it. Loved it.
You know, it's something that's interesting. You know, in broadcasting, we deal with a lot of, obviously, nonfiction. We want to share people's story. And when you're doing a fiction thing, it's kind of like, okay, it's fiction, it's no big deal, but nonfiction, you know, you want to make sure that you do it justice.
Right.
Talk about just that aspect, because you are telling someone's life story.
Right.
I'm sure you want to make sure that you're doing it the right way,
right,
and you meet what they expect from you.
Right, right. When I interviewed Coach, I wanted to make sure everything was right, because like you say, you're doing it on their life, and you don't want to put nothing in there that's not true. And anyone that does a book or a biography on someone, you got to get your facts down, and you go from there, because one little thing they could read it, and they was like, no. What we did was I did a lot of it, and I let Coach everything I did. I let him read it, or proofread it, and to, to make sure that he got his stamp of approval on. But yeah, you gotta get your P's and Q's together, and make sure everything's straight.
Well, here's a dumb question too. Would there be anything you, and I don't know if this is, I kind of know the answer, but I'll just throw it out there. Is there anything you would have wanted to have done differently in the book?
I think we did a good job. I think I probably would have liked to had some of his players that he coached now in it, or probably got together like a big group photo or something like that. But and he's had a lot of players that he's coached that's passed on, and it'd have been a really great thing if we could have got all those guys, especially that Hawks team that went out to Washington that lost to Penny Hardaway. If we could just get all those guys together and just have one big group photo, that'd have been, I would love to have done that. So.
And being a military veteran and being, an educator, that's the field you want to go into, and go into coaching and an author. What would you like the Barry Brown legacy to be? Like, what would you want people to say and look about at you?
Oh man, I would like people to say, wow, that's one good dude, man. He helps people out. He's got a big heart, always looking out for people. Never met a stranger. If you could meet some of my friends, they would tell you they love me. They love Barry B.
Barry B. Everybody loves Barry B. You gotta love that. Well, Barry, anything you want to add or say, or make sure that, if someone's interested in purchasing the book, what can they do?
Yeah, you could go to Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's $11.99 on Amazon and $2.99 on Kindle. And you can go to joegaither.com. You can purchase it there also.
So you don't have them at the back of your trunk selling them either?
Yeah, like mixtapes.
Yeah. Barry, you're awesome, buddy.
Hey, thanks, man.
So much.
Appreciate it.
All right. Oh, well, hold on a second.